Hey, family. Welcome back to Fridays by the Fire. I am your host, Sandi BestLife Jones. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's good to have you. I'm going to turn our music down just a little bit more so you can hear. There we go. All right. There we go. All right. Hey, I am so happy to be with you tonight. I haven't been feeling well, but thankfully I am much, much better. And so I said, you know what? Let me get a few episodes out while I'm feeling better, and can actually talk. So it's good to be with you tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about something that can sit, right at the crossroads of our faith, our womanhood, our emotional maturity, all the things. We're going to talk about how to regulate and master your emotions while pursuing love. Because, I'm just going to keep it real. Dating will test every fruit of the spirit you have. Joy, peace, patience, self-control, you name it. Dating will test it. And if we're not grounded, we're going to let our feelings run ahead of our faith. And that can lead to, some situations that you don't want to be in. So tonight we're learning how to let your heart feel but not lead. That's what we're going to talk about. So before we get into that, I want to go a little bit further and let me speak to what I mean when I say mastering your emotions while pursuing love. Being pursuable doesn't mean you're out here chasing men. Let's just make that clear and put that out there. Being pursuable doesn't mean you're out here chasing men. It doesn't mean you're out here shooting your shot and all the other stuff that people do. That, hey, no shade, but that's not what that means. It means you're living in such alignment that love can find you. One of my favorite scriptures, Proverbs 18:22 says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So he does the finding, but you do the becoming. He can't find what's hidden behind fear and old bitterness, old unhealed patterns, old unhealed, unaddressed trauma. He can't find what's hidden behind that. So a pursuable woman doesn't make it hard for a man to pursue. She makes it safe. She's approachable, not desperate. She's available on her own terms and not chasing. And she's whole and not waiting to be completed. You create peace, not performance pressure. We need to be nurturing an environment where love can grow and not where, one has to fight to survive. You see what I'm saying? So when I say pursuing love, I'm not talking about chasing a man. I'm talking about pursuing the posture that allows healthy love to recognize you when it shows up. So let's talk about how your feelings are real, but they're not always right. So emotional intelligence, it doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop fumbling every time you feel, right? It means that you pause before you react. You pray before you respond. And You choose wisdom even when your heart wants validation or your heart wants control. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. But guarding your heart, it doesn't mean locking it away. It simply means you're managing the flow of what's coming from your heart. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So, what is emotional regulation? This is part one. Point one. Emotional regulation is managing your inner temperature before you allow it to spill out in words or actions that you can't take back. It's the Holy Spirit helping you breathe through the moment instead of you just breaking in the moment. When you're triggered by silence or inconsistency or arbitrary confusion, it's the emotionally mature woman who doesn't spiral out of control with that. She surrenders. She surrenders and she asks God, okay, Lord, is this about him or is this about me? I'm telling you, that question alone can either save you from heartbreak or cause you to walk right on into the heartbreak without paying attention, depending on whether or not you hear God's answer. Point two, let's look at responding versus reacting. A reaction is more of an emotional reflex. It's something we do in the moment because we didn't stop to think about what to do. But a response is your emotional regulation. So reaction might say, you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you. But responding says, you hurt me, but I'm healed enough to decide how I want to handle it. James 1:19-20 tells us, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, for human anger does not produce the righteousness God desires. So you can feel anger and remain in your righteous posture. That is emotional mastery. Point three. Here are some common emotional triggers in dating that I want to touch on. The overthinker. You know how you replay every text, every pause in his voice. Girl, you ain't crazy. You ain't crazy. That's that abandonment issue rearing its ugly head. That's all that is. It's that fear of abandonment that you haven't maybe processed or dealt with, rearing its head and telling you there's something behind door number one when there really is no door number one. Listen, I've been there. I have been there. Sometimes you turn into the fixer. You see his potential. You want to go in there and try to heal him instead of really hearing what he's saying. Yeah. And that's rooted in your need to feel useful or to feel loved because somewhere in your life, somebody made you feel useless and unloved. And I've been there too. You could turn into the defender. It's like you expect disappointment, so you kind of pre-reject them first before they can reject you. And really what that is it's self-protection masquerading as spiritual discernment. And listen, emotionally intelligent women, you don't shame these patterns that you have in your life. You name them. You don't shame them. You name them so that God can heal them. That's what we do over here in the Grown Woman Tribe. Point 4. Let's talk about the spiritual side a little bit. The spiritual side of emotional intelligence. In Galatians 5:22 and 23, it reminds us the fruit of the Spirit is love, it's joy, it's peace, it's patience, it's kindness, it's goodness, it's faithfulness, gentleness, it's self-control. I'm here to say that self-control is not suppression. It is spirit-led decision-making. Because you realize that your emotions are messengers, but they are not the masters of your life. I'm going to say that again. When you understand that self-control is not suppression, but it's spirit-led decision-making, then your emotions become messengers, but they do not master, control, and rule your life. Part 5, how to date with a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And what that means is, yes, you can flirt without fear. You can connect without clutching and clinging. And you can love without losing yourself. Because when you have a sound mind, red flags stop looking like fix me projects. And they start looking like, no, that's not my assignment. Those red flags don't turn pink when you have a sound mind. And green flags don't turn red when you have a sound mind. I'm going to do a whole other show on turning green flags red because it's a thing. So y'all watch for that. Point 6. Let's look at some practical tools for emotional regulation. Number 1, the holy pause. That pause that makes you ask yourself, what outcome am I hoping for with this response? And if peace is not the goal, then wait. Do not respond if peace is not your goal. Number 2, the 3P rule. Pray, process, proceed. Pray first about everything, but especially in the heat of the moment when you can feel yourself getting ready to react instead of respond. Pray. And then process, either with God or your bestie, somebody you can trust. Process those emotions out loud. You got to speak it out. Talk about it with somebody. And then proceed calmly. Pray, process, proceed, the 3 Ps. Number 3, journal your patterns. I do this daily. Write down your triggers, your feelings, and your truths. Because that can literally replace your next spiral. Seriously. If you write down what's triggering you in the moment, write down what you're feeling, write down the truth of what you're looking at, you can literally stop your next spiral in its tracks by doing that. And number 4, don't confuse chemistry with confirmation. It's peace that confirms, but chaos reveals a lot if you're willing to look at it. So don't confuse chemistry with confirmation. Point 7. And this is just a personal reflection of mine. There were seasons in my life when I was emotionally available, but spiritually dysregulated. And I mistook my anxiety for, discernment. And God had to tell me gently, you can't hear me clearly when your emotions are too loud, sis. So now my daily prayer is, one of my daily prayers is, Lord, teach me to feel deeply but respond wisely. I don't want to be walking around out here like a loaded gun, just saying whatever and doing whatever. That's not who God created me to be. And it's harmful. And I don't want to be out here harming people because I haven't learned how to regulate my emotions. So I just want to ask you a couple things as we reflect on tonight's message. I want to ask you, are your emotions leading your decisions or just informing them? When you're triggered, do you react from fear or do you respond from faith? And what patterns keep replaying in your life that God might be asking you to allow Him to heal? What patterns are you seeing? What trends are you seeing in your behavior that keep replaying over and over and over and over that God is asking you to allow Him to come in and heal with you? You got to do that healing with God. So, just ask yourself that. I want you to know that you can be soft and still have standards. It is possible to be kind and still have clarity, and you can be open to love and still have boundaries. You're not cold. You're careful. You're not hard. You are discerning. And when you master your emotions, you stop being tossed by every wave of attention and you start walking on the water of wisdom. I hope this was helpful. It helped me. Shoot, I'm over here preaching to myself. Thank you again for joining me tonight over here by the fire. I want to remind you before I go that life is not about perfection. It's about progress. So stay grounded in your faith and allow the Spirit of God to guide your emotions, help you regulate yourself. You don't have to date out of control. You can be poised. You can be centered. You can be grounded while you date. It's possible. You can do it. I'm over here cheering for you. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I have faith in you. You can do it. All right, y'all be good. And thank you for being here tonight. Until next time, God bless. Love y'all.